Yeah, do you know, I'm not the sort of person to go down the route of, Me Too movement and misogyny, but it clearly was intimidating and bullying. And what that clip doesn't really show is quite how aggressive he was being. In the moment, it was actually really quite upsetting. He goes on to huff and puff and blaspheme, and he in fact leans right over me and blocks me with his arm. And then he sort of, when the camera goes off him, he's yanking at his microphone and trying to storm out of the studio. And, my animal instincts kicked in, and I had the hairs going up at the back of my neck. I was sort of shrinking away from him, thinking, oh gosh, this is getting a bit hairy. In many respects, it was quite frightening. And when I then left the studio, I just wanted to get out as quickly as possible. He then sort of came storming up behind me, and production staff, I won't sort of name names about who came to my assistance, but were quite quick to run up the stairs, out of the gallery, grab me, whisk me away for a cup of tea, and profusely apologize. And they were pretty horrified, actually, by his behavior. And yet somehow, of course, in the mad world of Twitter, where this has gone viral, it seems to be a football match that, I might be wrong, he's, got to be right, and the whole Brexit debate has reopened. There are good ways to have debates, and there are bad ways to have debates. And for a man who claims to be, communications director, he doesn't seem to know very well how to communicate.
I mean, he seems to have one pretty obvious tactic for communication, which is, and always has been, just to bully people. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, bullying is a strong word, but it did seem like quite bullying behaviour. And of course, this is the man who basically came up with the mantra that a spin doctor's job was to invent the truth. I mean, the part of this living in a political post-truth era was very much an era that Campbell himself designed and kicked off. And what's fascinating during that debate, what I was trying to say, quite accurately, actually, was that it was all about these 4,000 regulations that the government have found down the back of the sofa. And I was pointing out that 260,000 regulations exist in UK statutes. And he was trying to tell me that all of those regulations were voted on and debated by MPs, and that, we had full sovereignty, which is just not even factually true. EU legislation actually cannot be amended. And as a member of the European Union, we had to just have it added to our statute books. And he knows that full well. This is not even in question. I mean, if we could have decided we didn't want to follow this rule or that regulation, there'd be no point having a Brexit debate, right? But he just sort of went into meltdown and took to shouting instead of actually discussing the issues. And, well, it ended up in near pandemonium.